welcome to Movie Review Mom. My name is Movie Review Mom. Well, it's really Trina, but thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me while I talk about movies. My goal is to give you the inside scoop on filmmaking, not to say inside, since that's a pun, because that's what the movie is that I'm reviewing, but that's the inside scoop that I want to share so that you can make the best decision whether or not you want to spend time or money or both watching a specific film. So the specific film I'm reviewing today is called Inside. This very psychological drama is now available on multiple online streaming platforms such as Amazon Prime Video, Roku, Vudu, and even Redbox. It's rated R and is an hour and 45 minutes. And my movie review mom grade is, drumroll, a B minus. And let me explain why. Keep watching. I'm going to give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, as well as offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about, funny lines if there are any, interesting lines, and even recommendations for other films that are sort of similar that you might like if you like this one. Okay, sound good? Let's dive in. In a nutshell, the thriller is about Nemo, a high-end art thief who's trapped in a New York City penthouse after his heist doesn't go as planned. Locked inside with nothing but priceless works of art, he must use all of his cunning and invention to survive. The film was directed by Vasilis Katsoupas, who, I hope I pronounced his name correctly, who also helped write the movie with Ben Hopkins. So let's start off with the list of things that I really liked about this film. First of all, I adore Willem Dafoe, and I think he's such an incredible actor. So I was excited to see what he would do with this role. And in fact, I pretty much watch everything he's in simply because he's in it. And as always, he's outstanding in this role. The premise is interesting for a survival movie of sorts. It's tough to keep an audience interested when there's only one actor really in the bulk of the movie and one location throughout the entire film. But because I love Willem Dafoe, I was engaged the entire time. It's entertaining to watch Willem Dafoe discover the many smart home features in this luxury penthouse and how he chooses to utilize what he finds in the house to help him survive. And whenever I watch survival movies like this or, out in the wilderness, I always ask myself, wow, what would I have done to survive? And I think I would have made some different choices than his character makes in this movie. It's a fascinating perspective on the pandemic quarantine, where you're stuck in a house and he doesn't have the luxury of, ordering food out. And although I would have tried that early on, and he doesn't necessarily do that, but the cell phone is out, and that's a big problem. The movie asks us an interesting question at the beginning and the end. That is, if your house were burning down, what would be the 3 objects that you would grab to save and to take with you? So he shares some of that at the beginning, and then there's new insight at the end. The title says it all. Yes, the thief is inside a very expensive penthouse, but the director truly wants us to go inside the thief's head to explore more important themes. I love survival movies that make me question what I would do or question the motivations or the skill set of the characters involved in the story. I kept looking for deep meaning in every frame and found some interesting symbolism between art, mankind, the purpose of life, and the importance of human connection, and so much more. In terms of art, it was interesting to see the giant sculpture that Willem Dafoe's character built in search of hope. There were some things I didn't like about the movie. For example, it's pretty unrealistic that the luxurious building that this apartment is in wouldn't have been notified when all of the alarms started blaring at the beginning of the movie, when the apartment was flooded and other things were going on inside the apartment. He seemed to kind of give up so quickly, although we really can't tell how much time has actually passed. We could definitely see a passing of the seasons in the movie. And so based on Willem Dafoe's desperation and some of the seasons passing, it looks like many, many months have passed when he's trapped inside. Now, spoiler, we learn nothing about Willem Dafoe's heist buddies, although we know that they exist because he's kind of talking on a walkie-talkie at the beginning. But why don't they come and try to help him escape or even, knock on the door? Of course, they don't want to get caught. Maybe they did get caught. We don't really know any details. Unlike the movie The Martian, which I love and highly recommend, this drama could have used some humor in the solo survival experience. It's kind of one devastating moment and loss at a time. There are a few comical moments, but not as much as The Martian. And I liked that. I needed that. It helps to balance out all the drama and despair and all of that. There is a scene that is supposed to give us some background information. It's a flashback with some other characters, but it doesn't really add that much to the story or the character development so much either. All right, let me give you some tips for parents. The movie's not really appropriate for kids, and honestly, I think kids are going to be bored because the average viewer will possibly be bored and complain that nothing happens. There is profanity, including lots of F-bombs, some squiggly TV images of porn and nude artistic drawings. We see a man standing up to pee, but we don't really see any private parts. It's just part of explaining to us how not everything in the apartment works, like the indoor plumbing and the water and that kind of stuff. We do see some bloodied body parts and a man gets hurt. Some of the themes that are illustrated very well are greed, survival, sanity, isolation, desperation, suicide, the need for human connection. So I always write down funny lines and interesting lines so that I can give you a taste for dialogue and a feel for what the movie is all about. There were not any funny lines. This is a serious drama. And of course, Nemo is the only one really in the movie. And so I did write down some interesting lines. You can find all of them on my written review at moviereviewmom.com. So here are just some of the lines that I thought were interesting. He says at one point, art is for keeps. Another line is something happens and he says, boo. And that actually is a funny line. I guess it made me laugh because I'll say that too, rather than, swear, because I don't swear, I'll go boo. Another line that he says is opposition is true friendship. And then another line is, there's no creation without destruction. And the movie really illustrates that interesting point in interesting ways. All right, so before we go, let me give you recommendations for some additional movies that are sort of similar that I instantly thought of. Immediately, I thought of the movie Castaway, starring the fantastic Tom Hanks. If you haven't seen the movie Castaway, definitely add that to your watch list. It's fantastic. And there are other people in that movie more than in this particular one. But it's Tom Hanks surviving on an island. And he did it in real time in that he gained a bunch of weight. And then while he was filming on this island, he was starving and losing a lot of weight. So it's really good. I mentioned the movie The Martian with Matt Damon, and there are a lot of other characters in that movie, but there are moments where he's stranded on Mars and he's got to figure it out, as he calls it. He's got to science the bleep out of everything and figure out how to survive. Another interesting one is called At Eternity's Gate. Now, it's not a survival movie per se. It's Willem Dafoe reenacting part of the life of Vincent van Gogh. And he's trying to survive reality as his mind is drowning in his own make-believe world as he sort of swallows up in dementia, kind of, so to speak. I don't want to give everything away, but he's excellent in that movie. And he looks like how I would picture Vincent van Gogh. So check that one out, especially if you are a fan of Vincent van Gogh and his artwork. All right, that's it. I hope that if you watch this movie that you enjoy it and that you're able to dive deeper and see some of the symbolism that's there and understand what the director was trying to say. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.